Hello everyone. Excuse the creaking floorboards upstairs. Okay, so we're gonna do something a little cool today. We're gonna play with fire, which I don't recommend to actually play with fire, but this will be very easy, and I promise nothing is gonna catch on fire as long as you put enough Mod Podge down. Okay, so today we have these two love signs, and I'm going to be decorating them with this tissue paper. Okay, what is going to happen is that we're going to put Mod Podge down after we paint it, and then we're going to put the tissue on it, and then we're going to light it on fire, and it's going to make it so that it goes all the way up to this edge here. Okay, so let's get started and let's paint. So my paint today is just the cheap Apple Barrel white paint. You can get little bottles of them for like 50 cents at Walmart. And then I have the regular Mod Podge here, and that is just everyday tissue paper. It is nothing special. Okay, so I'm just gonna put some of this on here, and just to make it go faster. Okay. And yes, paint does come off of your mat, so if you're worried about that, you could always put something down. I'm not, because it'll come off my mat just by scratching a little bit. So I'm not really too concerned about it. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfect, like the white is going to be covered up. Just make sure you get the edges, because this sign is going to stand up on a table, so we're going to want to make sure that we get everything, and we're going to have to do the back side as well. And I will probably fast forward to the part through this so that you don't have to sit there and watch me paint a sign. In future videos, we are going to learn how to tell the difference between different fabrics and meshes, different ribbons, and which ones to not buy. I have learned that, and hopefully it'll carry on to you so that you do not waste your money or your time and effort. Okay, the top side is almost done. Make sure we get these edges here. You can also add lots of different things when you are doing this, such as like paper flowers, gems, lace, but we're going to be doing something very simple because that is what my mother wants, and it's going to be for my grandparents' 60th wedding anniversary. I am just doing the labor. All right. We will be adding a sunflower to this later. All right. Almost done. Make sure you get all the little nooks and crannies, which this one seems to have a lot of. You could always get a tray to put your paint on. I just prefer not to wash another something. So that's just me. It is up to you what you would like to do with that. It doesn't have to be perfect. Most of it's going to be covered up anyways. This is just so that the tissue paper is more bold on the top so that it comes through better. That is all this is for. Because this color is not what I want to see through. I want to see white. All right, here we go. So we're going to do that. And make sure you always rinse your paint brushes after you are done. Let's let it dry for a second here. And we will prep our paper. So this is just tissue paper. And we're only using one sheet at a time. Okay? So the sheet is very thin. You could also use napkins. But the napkins, you need to make sure that it's only one tiny thin piece of napkin when you're putting it on. You could always double layer it or triple layer it if you want, but you need to do it individually. Do you understand? So you need to do a layer of Mod Podge and then a layer. And then once that is dry and you light it on fire, then you can do another layer with Mod Podge and then a layer of your tissue. Okay? I have not tried it on the foil tissue. The ones with the shiny foil in it. So I'm not quite sure how that works. But this one is pretty self-explanatory. There's no foil or tinsel or glitter or anything in it. There's that. Wait a little bit for that to dry. It's mostly dry. There's just a couple of little wet spots, and that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay this down, and we are going to do both sides and get our Mod Podge. Now, you can use a paintbrush if you would like. I don't like doing paintbrushes with Mod Podge. One of the reasons is because it will ruin your paintbrush. So unless you have a paintbrush laying around that you're okay with getting ruined, don't use your Mod Podge. I just use my fingers. Some of you do not like the feeling of that. That's okay. You could also put gloves on, but it's basically like Elmer's glue. So I've been crafting for quite some time, so this glue does not bother my fingers. So what you're going to do is you're going to lightly coat all the way around with your fingers or your paintbrush. Make sure you get the edges real good. And you don't want a whole bunch of like big lumps of glue. Just make sure it's smooth and that everything is covered on the top layer. You do not have to worry about the inside part up here. Up here. Or on the inside of like the circle or the E. Okay. Almost done. Just make sure you get everything. As like I said before, you could also put lots of embellishments on these. You can literally put anything you want. You can use some hot glue on these so that they stay better. This is literally just to do the background image for the lettering. And yes, you could take a sandpaper and just kind of go over this rough spots here with the wood. I'm just not enough patient for that today, so that is what we are doing. Okay, so you want the pretty side facing up. and then you're going to lay it over your sign. Make sure you got everything and lay it down and then press it down a little bit. You can slightly lift it up if there's creases, because you don't want a whole bunch of creases on it. Hopefully you guys can kind of see the left side underneath it. Okay, next, now I don't normally recommend you to use the orange scissors to cut paper. These are really old scissors. I use them for crafts just like this. So these are my designated crafting scissors. I don't use the same scissors that I use for my ribbon on paper or cloth, because it will ruin your scissors. So I suggest only having one pair of scissors for cutting things that are not ribbon, mesh, and then another pair of scissors for your cloth and your paper. Okay, unless you are a seamstress or you like to do a lot of sewing, do those for a separate pair of scissors for your cloth. It'll keep your scissors sharper. Okay, let's close this just in case I don't want it to dump. All right, so you're going to pick this up very carefully. Don't pull your tissue off. Hold it like that, and then cut the excess tissue off. You don't want the entire place to go up in flames, so we're cutting off the excess so that it is more controlled. Okay. Next, you see how there's a lot of excess right here? We're just going to cut that off. And then anything that goes inwardly, so like right here, let's cut a little slit like that. Right here, I'm going to cut a slit like that, just so it's easier for the fire to go all the way in. And what this is going to do is it's going to give you a really good edge for when you put when your tissue is on. It'll look like it was already put on there. I'm going to cut this extra pieces off there. Cut this extra piece off there. Okay. Now this one, go all the way in like that. Let's cut that extra piece off. Okay. Now, make sure we got it all. And then we're going to poke a hole in the ones that have loops. Okay, just kind of, oh, you missed that piece. There we go. There, okay. Now, just kind of push the paper up because we want it to catch on fire. So anything that you just push through, push the paper up. Okay. There we go. All right, so I do suggest that you have a bucket of water. I've done this before, so I know what I'm doing. So I don't need a bucket of water. But if this is your first time doing this, I suggest you get a bucket of water just in case something sets a flame. Okay? All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your lighter, maybe, if it works. Okay, had to find a lighter that actually lit. All right, so as you can see, it slowly moves across, and for some reason, the Mod Podge makes it so that it doesn't burn. And see, it stopped, and then you'll have this little bit of ash there. That's okay, we'll take care of that. I recommend only lighting one side at a time, just for safety. All right. As you can see, the flames keep going. One time I was able to get it to go all the way around. That one was pretty cool. There we go. Don't forget to do your middles. So you might want to also take your lighter and just kind of go around, make sure you got everything. I think my lighter's about to die. Alright, so you're going to take your scissors and just right here on the edge, it's going to get all the ash off. And I'll show you what it looks like when we are done doing that. Okay. There we go. You might also find a spot that wasn't glued down properly, or that might need to be fixed up a little bit. Just add a little bit of Mod Podge and put some more of your tissue on it. If you need to, burn it. It's not a big deal. So it's going to make it look rustic on the outside, and you can choose whether to cover it or not. My friend actually helped me make most of these. So she is going to paint the outside gold for us. Okay, so we're going to finish up the sign here. So we've already painted the back and pulled most of the twine off. And that's okay if there's still some on there. It's all right. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our Mod Podge again. And just use our fingers to put some Mod Podge all over the sign, just like we did in the front. We're just going to use our fingers, make sure that there's not a lot of globs. Spread them out evenly. You don't want any globs hanging off the edge. The Mod Podge prevents the wood from lighting on fire, and it also is a barrier for when you do light it, that's where it stops. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. Almost done. All right, looks like we are ready. All right, close the lid just in case, so I don't want it to spill. Okay, so next we're going to get our piece of paper and just put it over it. Try to smooth it out a little bit. Make sure it gets all the edges. Okay. All right. Don't worry if there's some Mod Podge on your mat. It'll come right off. Next, we're going to trim some excess You don't want everything caught on fire. So we're just gonna get all of this that is extra that we don't need on there. About half an inch away from the sign is fine. You could also do this with like crates, like those little crates you get from the dollar store, anything wood. And you could also use napkins instead of tissue paper. So if there's a napkin that you really like, just make sure that you only have one piece of napkin. You're going to have to pull it apart a little bit. Okay. Next, there is the holes. So like this one, let's make sure that it's just kind of open like that. Okay. This part. It just gives some place for the fire to go. It is best if you wait for it to dry before you do this part. It works better that way. All right. Oh, looks like we missed a spot. There we go. And then it should be, there it is, the top part of the L. There we go. All right. I do recommend fire safety. People do put like a bowl of water up on your table just in case. I've done this a lot, so I haven't done that just because I'm really close to a sink and because I've done this so much that I really don't need to. Okay, so lighter. And then just start lighting. Please be careful when you are doing this. You don't want to burn your fingers. And just let it go where it wants to go. Okay? If you missed a spot, there you go. Don't worry, we're going to take care of those edges in a second. Ooh, look at that fire go. I wonder if it'll go all the way around. Nope. Okay. Light the middles. Don't forget the middles. Okay. So let's take our scissors. Oh, this cut part came up a little bit, so we'll fix that. Take our scissors and just kind of brush all of the ash off. And if there's some spaces, see that? We're going to have to burn that off. That needs to be relit. That's okay. Just take your scissors, brush all the ash off. Don't forget the middle parts. All right. Looks like we missed a middle over here. I don't know about you, but that's very satisfying. There we go. Just kind of make sure we got it all. Make sure we go back through and get any leftover ashes. Don't worry about the inside. We're going to take care of that in a minute. All right. Get all this ash off of our work table here. Should probably keep some wipes over on the table just in case. All right. So we do have this little part right here that's lifted up. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a little piece of paper, even smaller than that. We're going to get our Mod Podge. We'll put the Mod Podge where it's happening. Okay, there we go. And then just put it onto the spot. It'll look just fine, I promise. If you need to put some Mod Podge on the top, that's okay too. You can seal it that way as well. So if you want to seal the sign, you can put a layer of Mod Podge on the top. Okay. All right, just like this one. Take our scissors here. There we go. All right. So we have the front and the back. Okay. Now, since that is all done, this is glitter glue. You can get this at any craft store, but we specifically wanted the tip is what we want. You could also take a marker and use a marker over this so it doesn't look so ugly. I think we're just going to use this and then spread it around with the paintbrush. Okay, so we're just going to take our white paint again and we're just going to paint over this part here. Okay? And then we're going to line it with our glitter glue. I'm just going to open the lid up here and just dip my paintbrush in. Less mess that way. And just paint over. Be very careful not to go over the side so that your paint doesn't go onto the paper. The reason why we're doing this afterwards is because sometimes the fire will make a mark. That's what all this brown is that the fire will make a mark. Okay, make sure you get in between. And this is just the cheap paint that you get from Walmart. They come in the little tiny tubes for like 50 cents. This one was a little bit bigger, so I think it was like $1.50. The only reason why I'm taking so much care into doing this is because it is for my grandparents' wedding anniversary. And apparently I've been tasked to make the centerpieces, and so that's what we're doing. Okay. As I said before, the signs came from the Dollar Tree around Valentine's. So you can only get them during then, but you could also get different love signs from like Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's, but they're going to be more expensive. Okay. Almost done. You don't have to cover the bottom if you don't want to, because it's going to be standing up. That is simply a you choice. We missed a piece of ash. Okay, almost done. Do you see the difference between the white and this? Yeah. So it's going to look way better. All right. Okay. There we go. Don't forget to rinse your paint brushes. Okay. Oh, looks like we missed a little spot here. There we go. All right. Now we can let this dry and then get going on the next part. I'm just going to go because I'm impatient. So make sure you shake your bottle all the way so that the paint is at the very tip. And always test it first because you don't want a big splutter. There we go. All right. So I'm just going to line around the edges with this glitter paint. See? It'll just make it pop more. Okay. If you do not have a steady hand, then you could skip this part. One of my friends did the lining, and so I needed it to look exactly the same. So we're just gonna have to do the lining. There we go. Make sure you keep the steady pace of how hard you squeeze on the bottle. It'll help it so that you don't have like giant lumps. You want it to be about the same pressure all the way around. And I know it's going to hurt your hand a little bit after a while. Take a few breaks so you don't get cramps in your hands. Also make sure that you shake whenever you stop. That way that all of the paint goes to the bottom where the tip is. Use the edges as guides to where you're going. You can also add little diamonds, like little gems. We're going to add a flower. Okay, we're going to set that down now because I'm running out of space to hold it. Okay, front of it is done. Okay, so we have this side done and we are going to do the other side. All right. Just take our glitter glue out, tap it, make sure that it's all the way down. All right. Now that we are done with this, we're gonna have to let it dry, and then we will come back and put the flower on, and then we are done. Let's patch this up a little bit right here. There we go. Now we just have to wait for it to dry. Okay, so this is what our finished sign looks like. Both sides. Now we need to put flowers. We're going to put them right here. These are Cricut flowers. All I did was hot glue the leaves and the petal together. And this is just a little center, and I just lifted it up a little bit. These were just curled. So we're just going to take our hot glue gun, and we're just going to put it only on the top part right here of the O. Make sure that when you put your flower on, though, that it's further up, or else your sign won't stand up. Hold that there for a minute. Okay, there we go. And then you can like fluff out the flowers a little bit. Okay. Then we'll do it to the other side, because this is going to be standing up like this. Just glue around the top part of the O. Make sure that it's going up further enough so that the petals don't go over the edge. That way it stands up, because this one's going to be standing. Okay, try to grab some of your hot glue strings off of there. And there we have it. Make sure you fluff them when you're ready to put it on the table, and then it stands just like that. All right. Thank you everyone for coming. As always, stay tuned. We'll be doing more projects. I'm planning on doing another wreath, some paracord bracelets. We'll see what else we can come up with. And tune in next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe.